Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. What conspiracy theory do you completely believe is true? The government constantly reposts this question to see what we know. No, we don't do that at all. Edit. I mean they. ! The truth has slipped through the tongues. As someone who spent 8 years in art school, it's the only way to make sense of what is an insanely illogical art market. Ace Gallery in LA, one of the biggest galleries in the 80s and 90s, was notorious for selling paintings 2 or 3 times, stiffing the artist and not delivering the art to anyone. I thought it was mattress stores. There's always money in the banana stand. My dad's friend owns one, and I helped him with his books once. Holy crap, the margins. There's more margin in cheap mattresses than there is in drugs. He was getting queen beds from China for $18 landed and selling them for $250 like candy. His place was 5 employees and made over $1 million a year. BRB opening mattress store. Someone said that of paintings sold for millions, and I thought, oh god, yeah, why didn't I think that before? It's not just paintings, but antiques, wine, jewelry, rare musical instruments, charities, and you get the idea. And horses. You would be amazed how race horses and show horses are used to move money or avoid taxes. Edit. A lot of people are asking how this is done, and from what I've seen, it works on the arbitrary price model of high-dollar horses. Some people will buy high and sell low under a common umbrella as their other businesses to report less taxable profit. Usually these transactions are fast: buy a high-end show horse, own it for a month, sell it for half of purchase price. If anyone asks, you can report behavioral issues or other reasons to sell low. There are a lot of other odd transactions that happen. Google Caroline Rothman. She has been involved in some interesting cases. I do know I have read some are about certain low-end movie production companies are in fact used to make crap, low-budget movies in order to move money around for tax write-offs and such. I need more information on South Africa. South Africa is a country on the southernmost tip of the African continent, marked by several distinct ecosystems. Inland safari destination Kruger National Park is populated by big game. The Western Cape offers beaches, lush winelands around Stellenbosch and Paarl, craggy cliffs of the Cape of Good Hope, forest and lagoons along the Garden Route, and the city of Cape Town, beneath flat-topped Table Mountain. Don't even get me started on entertainment. 720. Money please. Quote. Prestige Worldwide 2. A Huff and Doback production. Boats and Hoes. Favorite non-pornographic magazine to jerk off to. Good Housekeeping. Did we just become best friends? Epstein didn't kill himself. Edit. Those who think Epstein is still alive, that still means he did not kill himself. I'm on the middle ground in this one. I think he did kill himself, but only when someone visited his cell and told him to either do it himself or, suffer much worse consequences. Of course, during that visit, the cameras mysteriously turned off and both guards decided to take a nap. Okay, I'll be the one. I see no reason to think that Epstein was murdered. I also see no evidence that he was coerced into suicide. The dude was a psychopath. He knew he was done for and offed himself to avoid prosecution. His only power, blackmailing the wealthy, relied on him having access to information and resources that were either destroyed, in the FBI's hands, or inaccessible to him. I think a guy who decides to kill himself will exploit inevitable mistakes in the system trying to prevent it, and he'll succeed eventually. Go ahead, anyone. Give me well-resourced, concrete proof that he was either murdered or compelled to kill himself. Not questions that are unanswered. My response will always be the null hypothesis and Occam's razor. I'll wait. That's already confirmed as a fact. It's no longer a conspiracy theory. Dr. Barden, the forensics expert who examined Epstein's body, literally said that he was murdered. You should probably know that Barden isn't a well-regarded forensic pathologist. He chases big-name cases, but rarely practices outside of his consultation work. His work is treated with a large degree of skepticism by practicing forensic pathologists. Further, you should also be aware that second autopsies are extremely problematic, to the point where many pathologists refuse outright to do them. In the initial autopsy, organs are removed, tissue is damaged due to the taking of samples, etc. Further, decomposition inevitably sets in, regardless of how the body is stored. It's always good to be highly skeptical of a second autopsy, as the results are much more difficult to interpret, even by an expert. I read this as Einstein didn't kill himself, and thought, wait. People think Einstein died of suicide. Quote, slight edit to improve clarity of language. Einstein was going to tell people about the black patents, inventions that the Swiss government could never allow to be revealed. He was removed, quietly. Black patents, are you trying to create a conspiracy theory? That is the question. The question edit. I've had 3 people PM me asking about the black patents, and I feel like I've created a monster. That she. The Department of Transportation bought way too many orange barrels, so most of them have to be stored on highways. They actually don't own very many of them, they actually rent them. I've heard it can actually be a per barrel per hour rate, but I can't find info to back that up. Anyone else know? In this article, contractors are likely just the companies that own the barrels and earn the easiest money ever, because governments can't afford to put up storage for them. www.freet.com. You deserve an upvote. I literally travel past miles of barrels on a daily basis and rarely see anyone working. I saw a really informative response about this the other day. I wish I could even remember what sub it was in, but the part that stuck with me was they said they all put the barrels out once to avoid moving them on and off the road repeatedly, and that in the early phases of construction a lot of the work is surveying etc. and then waiting for approvals or whatever, so somebody is out there for an hour or two infrequently during a week or month. But the time and cost, labor to move the barrels back and forth doesn't make it worth it for brief trips. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Additional information y'all. Learning crap is a dope. Also, thanks to you, Melodic Sons. Here is a comment. And thank you, you, _rific for the non-amp link. www.reddit.com. Maybe not Tupac, but at least one celebrity has faked their death and is still out there. Funny enough, the other day some photos went around showing Tupac in art school as a teenager. One photo of him being in ballet class. I have to be honest with you. My mind went on a little vacation and I thought to myself, it makes perfect sense. Tupac was never really a gangster but instead a brilliant thespian who created a character he just didn't want to play anymore and faked his death to retire the character and start a new one. Then I got to thinking, what if the whole 90s gangster rap saga was all theater and some of the other rappers that got shot did the same, like maybe Biggie and Tupac fell in love and they knew that they couldn't make it work with American culture, so they retired their characters and now run a small theater company in Brazil somewheres. ELVISLIVES. He just went home. I like the version from Bubba Hotep best. He paid an Elvis impersonator to take his place for a while, just to get a break. Then the impersonator died suddenly of a heart attack and the real Elvis was stuck living the impersonator's life. Who? Michael Jackson. U2.be. If it's anyone, it's Andy Kaufman. Kaufman sure seems like the most likely to do such a thing. This is a bit spooky when you think about it. On the other hand, Kaufman's siblings would have to be in on it. They've all made statements that they watched him deteriorate from cancer in a way that can't be faked and attended his open casket funeral. My personal opinion, Kaufman was believed to have died in 1984. He was such a troll. It's doubtful he could have kept his mouth shut and stayed hidden until 1985. Let alone past 1999 when Man in the Moon came out in theaters. He faked faking his own death. This is the more Kaufman-esque prank. IMO. Anyone can fake their death. But the true novel prank is to learn that you are actually dying. Then tell a bunch of people you're planning to fake your death. And leave generations of people scratching their head while you're laughing it up from beyond their grave. Disney absolutely believed that Hillary Clinton was going to win the 2016 election. So they started building her animatronic for the Hall of Presidents well in advance. And after Trump pulled off a victory, instead of starting from scratch they just kinda made a couple half-assed adjustments to the Hillary model and put it up on stage. Edit. Thanks for all the awards. I know I'm not the first person to ever notice this, or even the first to post about it on Reddit. But I'm glad I was able to introduce it to so many people. Trump winning literally ruined the season of South Park that year because they wrote it with the intention that Trump Garrison would lose. I read this and immediately didn't believe it. Then I saw the picture edit. We get it. This comment sounds vaguely like a Smash Mouth song. Please stop retelling the same unfunny joke. Either this theory is 100% true or Disney, the undisputed pioneers in everything theme park related, suddenly became the worst engineers in the world for exactly as long as it took to build this animatronic. Or it was an intentional act of pure contempt. Not a specific theory, but I have no doubt that the majority of leaks for the entertainment industry, video games, movies, TV, etc., are completely purposeful and meant to gauge general opinions before official announcements. Edit. Spelling. Thanks for my first ever awards. This is one of those that just makes so much sense, yet somehow it's never occurred to me until now. They're called trial balloons, and they absolutely exist. They exist in politics. They exist in products. They exist in every industry with any amount of money. In law enforcement too. Sometimes investigators leak particular facts to the press in order to see how certain individuals respond to it. The Big Mac has gotten smaller so McDonald's saved some money. I dunno, but I swear the Big Mac used to be bigger. Or maybe I am just fatter. Every time you buy Big Mac you set one ingredient aside. Then at the end of the week you have a free Big Mac. Kevin's got the right idea. Way to stick it to the man. This is a pretty common business tactic, and there's been a hell of a lot of research into it. Companies know consumers are happier paying the same amount for a, often unnoticeable, reduced portion rather than seeing a price increase for the same item. It's called shrinkflation. I think it should be noted it's not that shrinking a product makes people happier. It's that it makes the loss of value harder to detect. People sometimes word it like this practice is good for the customer and that companies are just doing what the customer wants. Which isn't true. Increase the price of a jar of whatever's from $1 to $1.20 and people immediately notice. Because that's very easy to see and verify. Make the jar itself 5% smaller and redesign it so indents drastically decrease the volume inside. And now it's a lot harder to notice that you're getting less. The customer might be dissatisfied feeling that the jar didn't last as long as they had expected. But they might think that they're just mistaken. They'll think they used more than they usually do. Or that their expectations were off. Or that they weren't keeping track well enough. The customer is just as unhappy when the product shrinks. It's just that they don't realize what the source of that unhappiness is. A pound of bacon, at least in Canada, used to be 454 grams. They went to 425 grams, 400 grams, and now I've even seen down to 350 grams. All this while the prices go up. Exception to the rule is Costco. I know you are on the metric system, but if it's advertised as a pound, wouldn't it actually have to be a pound? The CIA is responsible for the crack epidemic. Along with that, I think the theory of the CIA placing random crates of guns in black neighborhoods to escalate gang violence is also probable. I thought Gary Webb did a good job of proving that. en.m.wikipedia.org. He also died of suicide by 2 bullets to the back of the head. Which basically confirms that he was correct about the whole Contra cocaine CIA thing. That one's partially true. One single thing can't be entirely responsible. But the CIA was involved. The question is whether it was knowingly or unknowingly. And it's far from the only drug trafficking the CIA took part in. Vietnam War enters the chat. We frick around in Nam and have a heroin crisis. Vietnam becomes a huge exporter of opium. We frick around in Latin America and we go through a coke boom, and Latin America experiences a monumental explosion in cocaine production. We frick around in the Mideast and Afghanistan becomes the new leader in opium production and export. And we have new heroin epidemic. It's really hard to convince me all of that is coincidental. Computer virus protection companies create computer viruses. Thanks for watching LWIAR, the best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR too, and don't forget to like and subscribe.